All right, welcome. This is going to be a review for your final. Pretty much everything's going to be on it. As you said, you have a couple days to get it done. I'll open it up. So let's take a look at what we covered. Chapter 1, we covered the fundamentals of cryptology, some key concepts, and the terminology. So what is cryptology? A process that converts unencrypted information to protected state, making it difficult to understand, turning plain text into ciphertext. Protect information. It's confidential, secret. Also, we want to make sure that no one can read it, that it is authentic, that we know where it came from. Some basic myths. It's unbreakable. As we learned, not everything's unbreakable. Enigma machine is a perfect example. Confusing doesn't mean it's encrypted. All encryption is the same. As we learn, there's different levels of encryption, so we're going to look in that. Not encryption doesn't require computers because it's been around since 4000 BC. Is it hard? Not really. Some encryption schemes are real simple. Shift one letter to the left or to the right. Caesar's three letters. And new technology does not eliminate the for that information. Eliminate. It actually makes computers even more important. Some basic terms: plain text, information that needs to be converted. Ciphertext, is it converted? Is it confidential? Integrity, authentication. These are the things that we want to make sure that is part of encryption and how everything works, cryptology. This is a real basic simple. Here's our readable text. We put it through an algorithm. It transfers it and becomes cipher or unreadable text. That's all that cryptology is doing. And if we're going to go back, it's the same thing. We have to always go through this. This is our algorithm, as you learn. But that's what does the encryption or the de-encryption. So that's an important part of it. And think of the algorithm as the formula or the recipe of how it works. It defines how encryption and de-encryption is performed. It's the math. It's the keys. It tells exactly what we're doing. We're going to shift 3 places to the left. Or we're going to be using what secret code or whatever the numbers or anything that's in there. The 2 methods we looked at: asymmetric, uses a different key to encrypt and de-encrypt. It's slow. And symmetric, uses the same key. The key represents a similar combination lock. The key is that important thing that we have to keep hidden from people. But the key is what opens up the encrypted file so we can unencrypt it. The longer the key, the harder it is to break. So if I have the word sky, simple 3 letters, real simple, versus if I go with university, where it becomes harder. So these are just some of the things that we've got to keep in mind. The key is an important part of it. For chapter 2, we went over the history and how everything's going to look. So, safeguarding information. 3 things we want to make sure: confidentiality, integrity, and non-repudiation. Make sure that who sent it to us, that we have information. And what is cryptology? It's the science or practice of safeguard information. Keeps information secret. It's been used for a long time, dates back to 4,500 years, to the Egyptians, the Greek, the Chinese, Romans. We still use it today, as we've been talking about. Very useful during wartime. And today we use it for e-commerce. Everything we do online, on your phone, when you buy something on your phone, everything gets encrypted. So it's used even more. The hieroglyphics date back to the Egyptians. Rosetta Stone. This was a key in helping people figure out how to read ancient texts. If you kind of see up here, this section, well, it kept repeating. This is all different languages. So they were able to, someone who knew one language was able to now decrypt other languages by knowing this. This was a key. The thing of it is the key. Haberdasher confirmed it was done flipping the alphabet. If you notice, here's our message. What would happen? This is A. And then if we were writing Apple, we would write A, Z. So we put the Z. And we put a P, which is actually a K, K. So it's just in flipping the alphabet. Real simple, but again, if you don't know about it, it becomes hard. We talked about the SkyTel. used by the Spartans, just a long piece of wrap. You had to have the right size dowel. When you put it up, it would actually spell something using this wooden dowel on the flats. So this is allowed them to transfer information without anyone knowing it. And we have the Caesar cipher. It just shifts everything 3 places to the left. So it doesn't line up this way. The D lines up to the A. So here's the alphabet. This is our plain text. This is going to what our ciphertext look like. So again, if I'm going to use the word Jack, I'm going to start with a G, then an X. So it just allows me to figure out what's going on. It's a real simple thing. Again, easy to use, but it could be broken. Polyalphabetic, or the veneer ciphers. Here's what our text is going to have. We're going to start with this across the top. We have the alphabet. We also have the alphabet running down the side. So if I wanted to encrypt something, I'm going to use the word, across the top is the word I'm going to encrypt. And then by having my key, I'll read it across the bottom. So if I use the word book as my key, and I want to encrypt ciphers, well, I come up to C. I'm going to start with D. So my first letter is going to be D. And then my Y is over here. And I'm going to come down to O, which is M. And you can see, then we take that M, so on. So this makes it, as you can see by the fact of how large this is, it makes it a lot more difficult to encrypt. We talked a lot about the Enigma machine, on how the Germans felt it was unbreakable, so they never put stock in the fact that it could be broken, and they relied heavily on it. And as we discussed, the Allies were able to break this code. How'd they do it? By using simple language. They said, all right, look for a word pattern that comes in every message, whether it was weather, today's weather. They would look for that, figure out how to break it. So, but it was very complicated. It had discs up here. So you press a button, a light would light up. You also had plugs in the front. So it was a very complicated information. It wasn't a small feat. 9,000 people worked on it. Alan Turing, he was the father of computers. Did the programming, developed the computer. If you haven't seen the game, Imitation Game, it's worth watching. Data encryption standards in the 70s and 90s, lasted until the 1990s, then advanced decryption standards came through. And now we're up to public keys, where we can actually send information. We looked at quantum cryptology, which we'll get more in a second. Components, how do they come about? The roles of keys, algorithms, and managing the keys. So encryption meant to conceal information. Concealment doesn't mean hidden, just means it can't be read. We're going to turn plain text into clear text. It's the original message. Ciphertext is what's transferred, and the algorithms is the little box that converts everything for us. It tells us how to convert it. And the key is a discrete piece of information that we use to come to results. The substitution cipher. So here, if I'm looking at the outside, I'm going to put my outside is A. Again, Apple, I use a P. And so on. Then I can just turn this around. As we said, we talked about some of these ciphers already. Caesar cipher we talked about. Here's how it would convert, using it 3 places to the right. The quick bound fox jumps over. Lazy dog looks like this. About 13, it's just splitting the alphabet in half, moving it underneath. It's a very weak encryption. This is the poly cipher. This is an example of how we use this. The veneer cipher. So across the top, I have my alphabet. I want to encrypt the plain text feedback using my key. So F. First I come to 3. So I have C. So I have a C up here. I have an E. And the next one's a 2. So that becomes a C. I have another E. And that one becomes the 4. So I come down to here, A. And so on. So you can see how it works. Again, you could put an alphabet here. I could put numbers down the left side. It doesn't matter. Algorithms, they do all the work for us. So we want to make sure that they're easy to use, should be easy to use, reliable, works the same time every way, and security. That's the purpose of what the algorithms do. Kerckoffs' 6 principles. The system should be unbreakable in practice. The design of the system should not require secrecy, or compromise of the system should not inconvenience the correspondence. The key should be memorable without notes, easy change. Cryptogram should be transmitted by telegraph. The apparatus or document should be portable, and the key should be easy. We're looking at chapter 4, symmetric and asymmetric, stream, ciphers, and blocks. So what are the high level? Encryption turns plain text into ciphertext. So we can transmit it over the internet or anywhere. Someone can see it, but they won't be able to understand it. The algorithm should be a standalone part of your application. We should use a well-known key and determine the information encryption. So symmetric inputs a piece of information along with the key to scramble. Can only be open, can be openly distributed, which means because it's scrambled, no one can read it. Must provide the key and encryption method. Conventional encryption, simple design and easy function. Some strengths: very fast, difficult to break, freely tools available, highly efficient, multiple modes, confidential, and key that. Weaknesses: trying to get the key. If I don't know you, how do I send you the key? That is one of the biggest things. Poor scalability, which means it's not really used for high production, limited security, noise on the channel. Asymmetrics are more complex, more secure. They use this public key. The public key allows us to have this. Confidential, key management, because now we have to deal with the keys, proof of origin, integrity, general key size. So you look at the size of your keys. The bigger, as we know, bigger the keys, the easier it is. Iterated block cipher, electronic codes. These are some of the things we're going to be looking at. So, block cipher. I think I have it backwards. So there's a stream, right? As the letter comes through, it gets converted. So we're doing this as it's changing. As the stream ciphers are simply saying, hey, as this data comes through, stream, convert each bit so it makes it different. So it looks like that. With a block cipher, the block cipher does it in bits. So if I'm going to do a bit, it can take maybe 2 words, whatever it is, 8 characters. Every 8 characters, it's going to send it through. Examples: these are some of the examples of block ciphers: DES, 3DS, IDE, RCI, AES, Blowfish. These are just some of the informations that are out there. The stream is part of this symmetric algorithm, average faster, performed at the bit level as that diagram showed. These are some of the things. One-time pad. It's used during the war. It's still used today. It means the key is only used once. Once that key is used, it's no longer available. Key management. Asymmetric has key management issues. This occurred when both parties are not in the same area. Hence, the public key, invented in 1976 by Whitfield Dilthey and Martin Hellman. It allowed for public and private key systems. The public key is generated when required, and the private key is used to decrypt and kept secret. And they're linked, so mathematically, so that allows us to put the information. These are some of the basic algorithms that are used today with the asymmetric. And then we're going to cover hashing, fundamentals, how hashing works. Encryption is 2 functions. Hashing produces a fixed length output. Then it can provide a summary of the file or text. So, works with both. Doesn't matter what we put in. You could put either plain text in or ciphertext for hashing. Provides a digital fingerprint of the data. Here's the key with hashing. Doesn't convert it. It actually just gives me a summary of it. So it ensures integrity of the data. You cannot, when it means not reversible. So once I have my hash number here, I cannot go back to figure out what my plain text was, because they're not related. It's a one-way thing. It's used to validate data for doing downloads. It's fixed length, doesn't have a key. So, It's used in digital signatures. So this way I could guarantee that my file wasn't altered. Verifies downloads of software. If you download a large package of data, what the provider would do is run a hash on it. It's sitting up on the server. When you download it, you'll run another hash on it. You'll make sure you got the exact same file. This way they know if the file was downloaded correctly. If you ever got an error, well, that's how it knew. You can the same thing happens with emails. An email is sent and the hash was run on it to make sure that it was. It's good for storage of passwords because it doesn't save the actual password, it saves the hash. So this way it allows me to put that information in. It's used for searches on the web, and it's also used in databases. It's a message digest. These are some of the hashing algorithms that are out there. We covered these already. This is what it's trying to do for us. Hash functions, condensed original file, it's one way, nonlinear. We talked about it's used in e-commerce, integrity, software distribution. If there's a weak hash program, it could be the thing. Upper and lower case matters, passing the salt, and afraid of change. So this is an example of what a hash. We set up our hash example. So this is a 128-bit hash, or 32 characters. That's over here. Here's my output, my hash. So it doesn't matter what goes in. Superman comes out 32 characters. This paragraph comes out 32 characters. This document comes out 32 characters. A picture, 32 characters. So you can never tell from the hash on this side what does it translate back to, because as you can see, it hashes anything and it all looks the same on this side. So that's the importance of the hash. That's just how it works. Again, this is just an 8-bit. This is how it uses it to verify your passwords. So if I type in the password, I'm looking for 90, it should equal 98. Does it equal 98 in the database? And then that would convert to this. Digital signature, here's my original document. It gets hashed, we send it over. The hash algorithm should still be the original document. We have the key to make sure that my hash percent number over correctly. Fundamentals, Chapter 5. One-way encryption produces a message. And this is what we're going to look at. Cryptanalysis, breaking it. Changing ciphertext to plain text without using a key. Reversing the engineering of the algorithms. And basically, it's helped to define whoever's doing the program for the developers. One of the things that we talked about was the Navajo code talkers. No one can understand them, so they were able to do it. The Enigma machine, how that went about getting broken. We talked about how that cipher worked. Breaking the code, whether we transposition the cipher. Plain text letters are rearranged into different orders. Substitution cipher replaces that. So we looked at that, breaking that. How do we go about breaking it? We look for keywords. This is how the Allies broke the German cipher. They looked for today's weather in every message. And once they broke that, they were able to look at it. We know it's putting logic to it. So if you see a single word, well, it's either an A or I, a single letter. If 2 or 3 letters, it's a vowel. At least one is a value. In the U.S. language, these are the most common letters. Well, you'd stack up all the different letters and you try to match those up. Try different things. These are all different kinds of attacks that could be put towards someone. Brute force is trying everything, every combination possible. Dictionary, trying to match up known words. Frequency attack. Well, we look at the letters that are used most. Ciphertext. These are just some of the things. We went over all these different things on how they all worked and had the different attacks that are up there. This is the brute force attack, dictionary attack, frequency analysis, and how this attack worked. The cipher attacks only attack in the ciphertext only attack. We assume that the attacker has a sample and tries to put it against it. Known plain, the attacker has both the sample and cipher from an old transmission, and they try to figure it out. People, social engineering, they're the biggest offenders. Someone will just call up and say, hey, what's your login and password? So you want to make sure that doesn't happen. Public key. System that provides safe and secure communication over a secure medium. Validation of credentials, combination of software, hardware policies. Certificate of authority, registration of authority. These are just some of the components of that make it up. The CA is request to receive information. We get the background information request, information provided by requester. CA hashes it, request. Generation of the key, public and private, different roles that it can perform, generation, publishing it, validating, certification, trust and trust models. These are just all the different parts that we went over and how it all comes together. Steganography, remember, this is just covering it in plain, leaving it in plain sight. A picture can be it, you know. In this case, they covered something in wax, or they shaved some man's head off. These are just some examples how it was used. But basically, cover the text. We put it in payload. We could put it in pictures. We put it in information. Transmit it hidden from sight, in plain sight. Hiding information. The message does not attract attention. As we said, it dates back to the Greeks. Tattoos have been eggs. Remember, we talked about how they put a special. The only time you can read it is if they hard-boiled the egg that came up. Invisible ink, still used today. Microdots, small dots all over the place on your. Even sort of remember the video had the dots, so you can always in the top corner messages hidden on it. In your letters and photos, you can put it in music. You can go anywhere you want with this. Been around since the 12th century. Greeks, Japanese have used it. It's used during the Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II, hidden in folders, pictures, executables, videos, audio files, Trojan horses, examples. You can have different colors, portraits, watermarks, security threads. You know, this is in the money. We talked about this in the money. So these are all the different things that money would have. And cryptology is great for confidentiality, but it's clear to someone you're hiding something. With steganography, it's not obvious. Now, can we use them together? Yes, we can use both of them. We can say, we can put something in plain sight. We can encrypt something, and we can put it in plain sight so that someone might not even see it, even though it's right there in front of them. And it's not standard use. Could use to protect the key if you wanted. Should not increase the size of the file. So we have cover text, payload text, and the stego key. That's how it all comes together. Converting cover text is unused space. So in this file, we have the hidden messages in here, carrying file, and this is what it looks like. There's very little difference. There's subtle changes in it, and that's the whole idea. You can also put it in audio using the low bit or sped over the spectrum or echo to hiding it at the end of the file. You can put it in videos now. You can put it in documents. Use the blank spaces to hide information. You can put it on hard drives, manipulate the data. The stego analysis, how do we find this information? Just detecting it, right? Same as the crypto analysis, breaking it. Well, stego analysis is breaking it again. How do we find this hidden text? What do we look for? And this is what we're trying to do. You're going to listen to the file, you try to pair original features. This is done at a very high level. We talked about the secure socket layer. The SSL was developed by Netscape in the 1990s, but it's a transport security layer also, and out of the 7 layers that allows us to have this. Security on the web uses HTTPS. You see that in there. Microsoft and Google use it to exchange your passwords from your servers. VPNs, if you dial in from home at work. This is just how the secure socket layer does. Sends the request. The server says, all right, send me your key. Then we get the key back, and then we send the cipher, and now we can start the exchange. So it has to go through this part before it allows you to change data. How do we work with digital signatures? Well, it allows us to verify if the document in the transaction of the files. Guarantees the document was actually sent by the sender. Guarantees the file was not modified. That's the hashing. And it guarantees the authenticity of the document. Digital signatures are legal and binding. What else do we have? Encryption. We talked about ATM and all that is involved in that. There's many encryption factors that go into the authentication when you put in your key. You got to protect it against people using it. The smart sheets, the smart cards are now being used in it. Drive encryption. We talked about that. BitLocker prevents anyone. As soon as you use it, you got to put a key in to get to your data. Whether you use your thumb drive or not. So this is some of the information that you want to put in. The Mac OS has different information. Quantum cryptology, that's using photon lights to pass data back and forth, extremely random because it's done with nature. It has no mathematical conversion, so it does make it hard to make. Downside is you need quantum equipment to make sure that the two parties have this. So it becomes very expensive. Let's see, we covered all that, how quantum works. That you need these pieces of equipment to send your data. So it becomes expensive. These are current, we talked about these already. Let's see, DNA, we mentioned that just last week. And this is how it's going to be looking. New technology, securing data, introduction. And what else? It's just extremely fast. Some approaches to it. We talked a little bit about the different laws. HIPAA, protect all our information. Our payment card industry, data security standards. Family Rights Act, Gramm-Leach-Billy Act, Sarbanes-Oxley, investors. These are all over the years have been passed. As technology continues to change and grow, the laws have to keep up with it in order to prevent something from happening. And we had the Fourth Amendment and the Fifth and the different things that we talked about. All right, so that's a review for your final. It will be opened up. Good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.